everyone. Welcome to Beyond Curious English. I'm Emma.
And I'm Daniel. We're really happy you're here. Whether you're listening on your way to work, taking a walk, or just relaxing at home, thank you for spending part of your day with us.
This is our very first episode. And honestly, we couldn't think of a better way to begin. Because today, we're going to talk about something that almost every English learner has experienced, even if they've never talked about it.
Emma, can I admit something a little embarrassing?
Of course. That's usually where the interesting stories begin.
For years, I honestly believed I had one big problem. I thought my vocabulary isn't big enough. So I kept studying. New words every single day. Vocabulary apps, flashcards, videos, podcasts, anything I could find.
Let me guess. You downloaded every vocabulary app on the internet.
Not every app. Only 5.
5? That's impressive.
I know. I thought one more app would finally make me fluent. It didn't.
And here's the interesting part. You're definitely not the only one. Millions of learners believe exactly the same thing. Study more, memorize more, keep going. And one day, everything will magically become easy.
That's exactly what I believed. Until one conversation completely changed my mind.
Really? What happened?
Someone asked me a very simple question. A question nobody had ever asked me before. Daniel, what's the biggest lie you've ever believed about learning English?
That's an interesting question. What did you say?
Honestly, nothing. I just sat there because I'd never questioned my beliefs before. I had simply accepted them as facts.
I think many people do exactly the same thing. Not just with English, but with learning in general.
Exactly. And that's why today's conversation matters. Because the biggest thing holding you back may not be your English at all. It might be an idea you've trusted for years without ever questioning it.
Before we continue, if conversations like this help you see English in a different way, we'd love to have you with us. Please consider subscribing to the channel. And if today's episode gives you even one new idea, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one.
All right, let's find out what that big lie really is.
So, let's go back to that question. The biggest lie about learning English. What was it?
The lie was surprisingly simple. I believed that fluent people spoke English well because they knew more English than I did. That sounded obvious, so I never questioned it.
Honestly, I think most people believe that. If someone speaks confidently, we immediately think they must know thousands more words than I do.
Exactly. That's what I thought, until I met someone who completely changed my perspective.
What happened?
I met an international student. His English wasn't perfect. Sometimes he couldn't remember simple words. Sometimes his grammar wasn't perfect either. But somehow he could talk to anyone. He made friends. He laughed. He asked questions. He never seemed afraid.
That's interesting. So he wasn't perfect, but he was comfortable.
Exactly. And that confused me because I knew more grammar than he did. I had studied longer. I had memorized more vocabulary. Yet, he spoke more than I did.
So you started asking yourself, what's the difference?
Yes. And after that, I began noticing the same thing everywhere. Some learners knew a lot, but spoke very little. Others knew less, but communicated with confidence. That didn't make sense to me.
Until you discovered something.
Yes. One sentence completely changed how I saw language learning. fluent people don't always know more English. They simply use what they know more often. When I first heard that, I honestly didn't believe it.
Why not?
Because it sounded too simple. I thought, no, there has to be another secret.
I think many people are waiting for that secret. A special app, a perfect course, a magic method.
Exactly. Because if the answer is simple, it also means we can't blame the method anymore.
So what you're saying is fluency isn't only about learning more. It's about using more.
That's the idea. Imagine two people. One person knows 5,000 English words, but only uses a few hundred. The other person knows 2,000 words, but uses them every single day. Which one do you think will sound more natural?
Probably the second person.
Exactly. Because speaking isn't a memory competition. It's a communication skill. And those are two different things.
That changes everything. Because suddenly, fluency feels much closer. Not easy, but possible.
Exactly. And in the next part, we'll explore something even more surprising. If learning more isn't the biggest problem, then what is your brain actually doing when it suddenly freezes?
Daniel, can I ask you something?
Of course.
Have you ever known exactly what you wanted to say, but somehow the words just wouldn't come out?
More times than I can count. Actually, that's what used to frustrate me the most. It wasn't that I had nothing to say. I had too much to think about.
What do you mean?
While someone was talking, I was doing everything at once. Listening, translating, checking my grammar, searching for vocabulary, wondering if my pronunciation was correct, and at the same time, trying not to make a mistake. No wonder my brain felt exhausted.
That sounds familiar. I think many learners are doing exactly the same thing without even realizing it.
Exactly. And one day, someone said something that completely changed my perspective.
What was it?
They said, "Your brain isn't slow. It's busy." That sentence stayed with me for weeks.
Wow. There's a big difference between those two ideas.
A huge difference. Because if you believe your brain is slow, you'll probably blame yourself. But if your brain is simply busy, then maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe you're asking your brain to do too many jobs at the same time.
That's actually a comforting thought, because most learners think, I'm just bad at speaking.
Exactly. But imagine trying to answer a question while solving a math problem, listening to music, and replying to a text message all at the same time.
I don't think anyone could do that well.
Neither could I. But that's exactly what many English learners expect from themselves.
So, speaking English isn't difficult because English is impossible. Sometimes it's difficult because our attention is divided.
Yes. And here's something interesting. Children don't usually think about grammar while they're speaking. They focus on the message. Adults often do the opposite. They focus on being correct. And that's where many conversations begin to slow down.
So maybe the goal isn't to speak perfect English, it's to share an idea clearly.
I couldn't agree more. Because people remember conversations, not perfect grammar.
I think that's one of the most important ideas we've shared today.
And in the next part, we'll show you one simple habit that helped me stop overthinking and start speaking more naturally. No complicated routine, just one small change that made a surprisingly big difference.
Daniel, can I ask you another question?
I had a feeling you would. Go ahead.
After everything we've talked about today, what was the first thing you actually changed? Not the first thing you learned. The first thing you did.
That's a great question. Because, surprisingly, I didn't start studying more. I actually started studying less.
That sounds dangerous.
It does. But let me explain. Instead of learning 50 new words, I chose just 5. Only 5.
Only 5?
Yes. But I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't just memorize them. I had to use them. Again and again and again. Until they felt natural.
So the goal wasn't to know more words. It was to become friends with the words you already had?
Exactly. Think about your closest friend. You remember that person easily. Not because you studied their face, but because you've spent time with them. Again and again. Words work the same way.
I love that comparison because many learners treat vocabulary like collecting stickers. The more, the better.
Exactly. But communication isn't a collection. It's a relationship. The words you use often become part of you. The words you never use slowly fade into the background.
So what did your practice actually look like?
Very simple. Every morning, I picked 5 words I already knew. Not new words, old words. Then I challenged myself to use every one of them during the day. Sometimes I spoke to myself. Sometimes I wrote short sentences. Sometimes I imagined conversations. The important part wasn't perfection. It was repetition.
And how long did you do that?
About 3 weeks.
Did you notice a difference?
A huge one. Not because my vocabulary became bigger, but because my vocabulary became faster. For the first time, words started appearing naturally, without me searching for them.
That's such an interesting difference. Bigger versus faster.
Exactly. And I think that's what many learners are missing. They're trying to build a bigger dictionary, when what they really need is a faster one.
I think that's today's biggest lesson. Don't ask yourself, how many words do I know? Ask yourself, how many words can I actually use today?
Because speaking isn't about showing everything you know. It's about using what you know at the right moment.
And that's something every learner can start practicing today. No expensive course, no perfect schedule, just 5 words, used with intention.
Sometimes, small changes create the biggest results.
Before we finish today's episode, let's take a moment to think about one simple idea. For years, many of us believed that speaking English becomes easier only after learning more vocabulary, more grammar, more expressions.
But today, we discovered something different. Maybe fluency isn't about knowing more. Maybe it's about trusting and using what you already know.
That doesn't mean learning new words isn't important. Of course it is. But knowledge only becomes useful when it becomes part of real communication.
So this week, here's a small challenge for you. Don't try to learn 50 new words. Choose just 5 words you already know and use them in a sentence, in a voice note, while talking to yourself or during a conversation. Just use them.
You might be surprised how much confidence can grow from using what you already have, instead of constantly searching for something new. And now, we have one question for you. We'd really love to hear your answer.
What is one English word or expression that you know but always forget when you need it?
Write your answer, in English, down in the comments. Don't worry if your English isn't perfect. This is a place to learn, not a place to be perfect.
We read every comment. And who knows, your answer might inspire one of our future episodes.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider subscribing to Beyond Curious English. Every week, we'll explore another hidden idea about language, learning, and the fascinating way our brains work.
Next time, we're going to talk about something almost every English learner has experienced. Why does your brain suddenly freeze the moment you try to speak English? The answer has almost nothing to do with your English.
Until then, take care of yourself. Be patient with your progress. And remember, you don't become fluent by collecting English. You become fluent by living it.
We'll see you in the next episode.